So hi, everybody. Welcome to our last travel and wine tasting for 2020. And what a wonderful way to kind of...
Bonjour.
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 No, bonsoir.
Bonjour,
Bonsoir.
bonsoir.
I stand
Yeah,
there.
well, in France, they said that you start to say bonsoir at 6 p.m. So
Oh, okay.
bonjour is totally fine.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we are. Our last night is going to be in Burgundy. And I have the pleasure of introducing Florent Meillat, the owner and CEO of Chocolatine, which is a fabulous French destination management company. Florent has been designing amazing, extraordinary travel experiences for Americans, Canadians, South Americans, Australians for well over 20 years. And he's going to just take us through Burgundy and see all the wonderful sights that you can get to see. So I am actually sitting in Dijon, and as a mustard aficionado, I love all different kinds of mustard. So I thought of all the places in Burgundy for me to choose, it would have to be Dijon. So, well, sorry, you've got a couple of people there. So anyway, Florent, please take us to Burgundy.
Bonsoir, everyone. Bon, joyeux Noël, as we say in French. Joyeux Noël. I'm very happy to be here tonight. Thank you very much, Sandy, for having me with your wonderful little group here. It seems like you know all each other very well, so that's nice. And yeah, so Burgundy. So I'm going to share. Should I share?
Yes, why don't you share your screen now? That would be great.
Yeah, share. Here we go. Voilà, voilà. So yeah, Chocolatine. So we do only France. Just that's all I wanted to say. That's all we do. France and France. So we have all our eggs in the same basket here, concentrated on France. Oh, how come I cannot? That's interesting. Here we go. So Burgundy. Yeah, Burgundy. I don't know if you see the.
We can see the map. We can see the map.
You can see both maps?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you see where it is located, you know, from Paris or just above Lyon, for example, because me with all the cameras, you know, I cannot see the part of the map on the right. Yeah. So several ways to get to Burgundy, but from Paris downtown, you can drive. So with your driver, or you can have a tour guide to take you there, or you can rent a car. But this is pretty far. It's about 3 hours and 20 minutes. Well, if you add a little bit of traffic in Paris, that can be easily 3.5 hours. Now it depends. Well, this is a good option, but it depends on how long you're going to stay in Burgundy. Well, lots of our travelers, unfortunately, don't have the time to spend too much time in the Burgundy, so they just go for the day. So if you go for the day, or even for several days, you can take the train, and you will take the TGV all the way to Dijon, and this is only 1 hour and 40 minutes. So if you only want to go to Burgundy for the day, you usually arrive around 10:30 in Dijon. And obviously, we can have someone to pick you up and start, you know, a day trip if needed. Otherwise, you know, well, it's so by train the TGV makes a big difference. Yeah, as you can tell, it's 2 hours less. Yeah. So Burgundy is known for obviously the wine first of all, but you'll see with all the slides we have prepared for you that there's a lot more to see. But the wine is number one reason why the travelers are going to Burgundy. So on this map, you see Dijon. I'm going to see Dijon. So the two very famous wine areas are called Côte de Nuit and Côte de Bon. Côte de Nuit is all about red wine. I'm not going to take too much, time on this because I know Warren is going to tell you, a lot more about the wine area. And
You've been there, haven't you?
Flo, I muted you. I had to mute everybody because we were getting some background noise. So you have to unmute yourself again. Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Is it
we
too
need to
loud?
move-
Am I
we-
too loud when I speak?
Yeah, no, this is good, but we should move
Okay.
along to the photos.
Yeah. So then we have Chablis, which is, you probably know the wine Chablis. So you see, it's not, it's in Burgundy, but it's totally in a different part of Burgundy. I added, Vézelay and Avalon because these two places are two villages that belongs to the most beautiful villages of France. I added Saulieu also, where the Relais Bernard Loiseau is located. A very wonderful place to stay and eat. It's a 2-star Michelin Guide restaurant.
Wow.
I also indicated Montbard. So there's not much to see in Montbard, but it's also another way to come to Normandy. There is a straight shot between Paris and Montbard by TGV. Voilà. And I also added Mâcon because there's also the Mâconnais, which is another wine area in Burgundy. So now the thing, voilà. So I'm going to go back. Voilà. So what I'm going to show you now is just beautiful pictures of Burgundy. So Burgundy is quite hilly. So when do we go in Normandy, in Burgundy, excuse me? I would say not before May, in my opinion, because the winter can be rainy, can be cold, can be gray as well, even if they can see a few rays of sun, during the winter. But I would say May would be the good time to start up to September. Well, September is always a little bit tricky because that's when usually the harvest is taking place. So if you want to enjoy some wine tasting, it's a bit more complicated because a lot of the winemakers, are busy, obviously. Yeah. So to me, the best time to go and see this, you see this beautiful rolling hills here. You see, is definitely when the vineyards, are full blown and and so that would be like June, July, August, before the harvest, obviously. Yeah, that's if you go to Burgundy at this time of year with the sun. I mean, Burgundy is definitely one of the most beautiful area in France at this time of year. Yeah. No question about that. It's absolutely stunning. Yeah. So this is an example of the vineyard, in full bloom. Voilà, people enjoying some wine directly in the vineyards. So this is a special place. It's called the Clos Vougeot. It's like one of the temple of the wine. The wine in Burgundy and all over France. Everybody knows the Clos Vougeot. It's 900 years old. So it's a very special place. And if you have a chance to go for a visit, that's something I would definitely recommend. Yeah, but Warner also will probably add a few things about this very special place. Yeah.
Yep.
Originally, it was just a farm.
Speaking of which, Warren is coming in now, so he'll be here for the rest of it. Good.
Oh, that's nice. Bonjour, Warren. Yeah, originally it was a wine farm, and that dates, like the 12th century. So it's not, it's quite old. Yeah. So the largest city in Dijon in Burgundy are Dijon and Auxerre. Dijon is a very walkable, it's pretty large city, but we're not talking about like Lyon or Strasbourg or Bordeaux, but it's still a good sized city and very walkable with a very, very charming downtown. So this is one of the pictures. that you have in your background, Sandy?
Yeah, that's where I am today.
Yeah, I can see you on the terrace there. You're
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
right. I'm right there having
right
a little,
there.
a lovely glass of wine.
Exactly. How is your wine? Is that okay?
Oh, it's delicious,
Oh,
delicious.
that's wonderful. Well, the wine. So yeah, we can go back very quickly. I should have put more maps. Actually, that's a mistake. I always make this mistake. But so Côte de Nuit, as Warren will say, you know, this is mostly, it's not mostly. It's only white, red wine. I mean, red wine. Somebody knows the grape that we make Burgundy wines with?
Pinot.
It's the Pinot Noir.
Right.
Voilà, Pinot Noir. And then Côte de Beaune, which some people like because you can drink some red and some white as well. Like a Meursault, for example. Voilà. Ah, I don't know if I should say that. I don't know if I should reveal some things of my private life, but I think I went to do a thing, something, you know, like nobody can do for you behind this little building last time I was there. Yeah, but I promise I didn't do that in the vineyard, and nobody could tell I was there. Also, yeah. So up, I go back. So we'll talk about Westleder, but it's a great place to bike in Burgundy, but we'll see this a bit later. So you can do group biking and private biking. Yeah, this is a very also well-known spot in the close area from Beaune and in the Dijon area. Voilà, Clos-Vougeot. So Dijon. So Dijon is known for its what do we find everywhere in the world that comes from Dijon?
Mustard.
The mustard, very good. The mustard. So we'll talk about this also a little bit later. Obviously, you have all the big brands like Amora. You probably saw some Amora jars in your stores, or Maille, M-A-I-L-L-E, also as well. But there is I really like the little family, independent family, which is the last one in Burgundy, mustard family making, you know, mustard. It's the fallow mustard, but we'll talk about this also later. Yeah. So this is one of the many churches in the area. So here is a Dijon mustard. This is a field, the mustard, you know, field in the close area of Dijon, yeah, which are actually located a bit north of Dijon, actually. Voilà, so the mustard Edward Fallow. Does it ring a bell? Have you seen this brand? We can find it in the States, but it's pretty, it's difficult now. If you go online, you're going to find it, but in the stores, it's a bit more, you'll find it in a more specialized stores, yeah. So this is a family who has been, you know, in charge of making mustard since 1928. So, and again, this is the last independent family mustard mill in the area in Burgundy. Yeah, yeah. All the other ones have been bought out, you know, by bigger companies. Yeah. So about half an hour south of Beaune, south of Dijon. Oh my goodness, we have probably the most, one of the most, if not the most charming town of Burgundy. Is called Beaune. Everybody loves Beaune. Everybody loves to go to Beaune and spend as much time as they can. Yeah, it's a very charming town, known for its market. I think the market is on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. Saturdays for sure, because last time I was there, I went on Saturdays. And this is yeah, this is a great place to be. I just want to. I hope I hope you can really spend some time there. It feels it's very pleasant, feels peaceful. You feel like being really in France as well when you're in Beaune. There is this passion, you know, for food, for wine, and it's a great place to spend at least a couple of days, yeah, if you can. This is one of the Alors, did we see? Yeah. So, who knows? Because well, this is a very famous building in Beaune. Does somebody know what building is it? No?
I think it's a poorhouse.
Excuse me?
It's for the poor people.
Yes, so that's good. Very, very good.
Bone.
It used to be a hospital for poor people. Yeah, it's called Les Hospices de Beaune. And so this is also a very, well, this is a 15th century building, so quite old as well. And the roof, I mean, are just fantastic. Yeah, it's really stunning when you see it in the sun. In the sun is better, definitely better. So these are, you know, now it hosts a museum. It's not a hospital anymore. It hosts a museum, and where you can see tapestries and also some 15th century, you know, painting pieces. Yeah, so it's a place that you cannot miss to see. You need to go for a visit to the Hospice de Beaune. Yeah.
Well, and you need to go in the caves underneath the town.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing to do as well. Well, the tiles, I see, you see, these are all tiles and very well preserved. And again, it's very, very stunning. Yeah. The visit doesn't last for very long. You know, this is maybe probably like a 1 hour visit. But if you have time, take the time. Yeah. The last time I was there, because they changed the market spot, but the open market spot. But last time I was there, which was just like a year and a half, the open market was right, you know, almost at the foot of the Hospice de Beaune. So this is the market. Yes, so the back tours, we talked about it. So you can do, so obviously you can arrange, you know, a group tour, so being with other people. But the group tours are always very small. Huh? They are like 8, 10 people, 12 people at the very most. And it's a great place to, again, well, of course, it's better to do it in between May, I would say, and September, definitely. And then you can enjoy some of the villages, you know. So that's different. Yes. So if you want, the good thing also is for the biking, you don't have to go for 1 week. You don't have to bike for 1 week. If you prefer to bike just for a morning or just an afternoon or just a 1 day, this is something also that can be arranged. Okay. And so we bring to you the bags of the sea. We prepare a picnic, or we are going to enjoy some lunch at a wineries. That's something also that is possible to do this just for half a day or for just a full day. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier Rollet, Bernard Loiseau. Unfortunately, he left us in 2003, if I remember correctly, the chef. Now his wife and his 2 daughters are running this beautiful, I mean, stunning place. It's a great place to stay. Also, yeah, a couple of nights, I would say, and eat. Bon, Bernard Loiseau has a 2-star Michelin guide. He used to have 3, but he still have 2, and it's a wonderful place to enjoy the local food. Yeah. Everybody in France knows Bernard Loiseau. It's a very famous place. Yeah. Beautiful table and some food.
The cheese cart at Loiseau,
yes,
has 75 cheeses on.
Oh la 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 la.
3 levels, and I spent an hour just on the cheese tray. And what's really cool about that restaurant is they have the entire wall, almost surrounding like half the restaurant, is this beautiful red wall cabinet with cruvernets, you know, the dispensers, and they have over 100 bottles of Burgundy at any one time in that cruvenet preservation system, where they'll sell you an ounce or 2 ounces or a glass of of like 100, 150 different wines. It's astounding.
Wow, that's
I'll see
amazing.
if I can pull up the photograph somewhere.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. Yeah, and the people are nice. I mean, you really feel comfortable. You really feel like at home. It's a very special place. Yeah.
It is really awesome. And when you're completely drunk and sated on cheese and everything else, you just stagger next door and go up to your room in the Hotel de Sète.
I would say the
I'm
cheese,
ready. I'm ready.
the cheese carts in Burgundy are like none other that I've ever had. I've been to Burgundy twice, and they've always been just incredibly spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It is. So you see, this is, to me, this is Normandy. You know, that's just stunning to me. I mean, can you imagine yourself just driving around or biking around? It's again, you need to pick the right time. When did you go, Ginger?
Well, we went in 1999 on a barge trip through Burgundy.
Yeah.
And then we went in 2001, right after the airports opened, and stayed in Avignon.
Yes.
And at Chateau de Vaux-Lugny.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll
It's
talk
like
about this. We'll talk
Yeah.
about this one later. Yeah, yeah. So, but what I was asking, it was when. I mean, like when? What time of the year?
The second time we went in September, probably both times in August or September.
September.
It was the middle of harvest the second time. So we got to go to Clos Vougeot, and
Yeah.
all the buses of kids were harvesting. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. That's the good thing about going during harvest is to see all the action, you know, and that's fantastic. Yeah, but it's a little bit more complicated again to access a few wineries because they don't want, some of them they don't. It's like in Bordeaux, they don't want anybody around. So because for privacy, for also always sometimes the fear that, you know, some people would be here kind of like to spy on them or something like that. So
There's
that's the only downside.
There's one level of the cheese ladder.
Wow.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
then-
That's like the
really
soft
cool.
side first. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, we had somebody who was born in Nuit Saint-Georges who took us on the route to Grand Cru, and we went into a couple of people who were making wine in their garage. But you're right, it's very busy at harvest, and they're often really small, and so I mean they're busy making wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that Cruvenet section. Look at that.
It's amazing.
Isn't that something?
Flora, we're going to have to move along. a
Okay,
little
we
bit.
move along. Okay.
Okay.
Well, so that's what you can do when you go to Burgundy. Bon, David de Fontenay is probably one of the most, well known in France. It's in Burgundy, but the Abbey de Fontenay is very well known, so that's a place you want to go also. Yeah, here we are in Semur on Auxois. So I just, just put some pictures to show you all kind of different landscape. You can, we'll talk about the barging a bit later. Look at this beautiful, you can tell it rains during the winter. And look how beautiful the green is.
Stunning.
Yeah, so there are lots of chateaux, castles, 12th century, 13th, 14th centuries, just all around, you just drive around and you're there.
Are many of the chateaus converted to hotels where people can stay?
Yes, some of them, but not far from all of them. But some of them, yeah, you can, definitely, yeah. So these, I don't know if you heard of the Flavigny. These are, the Tic Tac we have here in the States, all over the world, I think now. This is the same, it's anise flavor, and they are very well known also in France. Everybody knows in France the anis bonbon, les bonbons anis ou les pastilles anis de Flavigny. There is also some textile you can go. So this is just a little parenthesis, the movie, Chocolat was filmed in Burgundy.
Wasn't it also filmed in the Dordogne?
But maybe some part of but I know most of it, it was in Burgundy, but in the Dordogne area as well. You're right. Yeah, you're right. So Lyon, so that was Auxerre. Close to Auxerre, it's another area in Burgundy where you can go and make some, enjoy some wine tasting. You see different architecture. So you see Auxerre is here. So Lyon is right in this area. So you can also go wine tasting in this area. This is Auxerre. There's a lot of rivers in Burgundy, so it makes the landscape, a little bit more beautiful. Yeah. Strolling the streets.
It's so charming, the villages.
Yeah, it's really. So Vézelay, as I mentioned earlier, Vézelay, Avalon are the two kind of like gem of the Burgundy, West Burgundy area. Vézelay is part of one of the most beautiful villages in France. It's also a UNESCO site. Avalon. So Avalon is just a few miles away from Vézelay, so it's easy to do both the same day. You can easily take off from Beaune and drive up, to Vézelay. You can make a stop in Saulieu. You can, and on the way to Avalon and Vézelay. So this is a good full day from Beaune to do both villages and the stop in Saulieu, where Bernard Loiseau, Relais Bernard Loiseau is located. Yeah, in Avalon. So we talked about it before. There is the Château de Vaux de Lugny, which is a wonderful hotel and restaurant.
Ginger said she stayed there. We also stayed there. It was the most romantic place I've ever stayed.
Yeah.
It was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, it's not, that's funny because it's not, well, which is good in a way, but it's not as much, in the radar of the general traveler, than other places. Yeah, that's interesting. But
it's been 20 years since I was there. They'd only been open maybe 4 or 5, but it was just spectacular.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. It's really a place to go if you can, when people have time. Yeah.
Well, you said to spend a day in Burgundy. Frankly, I spent a whole week there. So
it's always hard. If you can spend a week, it's obviously it's better. But unfortunately, a lot of travelers, they land in Paris and then they want to go on, to Normandy or to the Bordeaux area, and they don't have time, to do the Loire Valley from Paris, which is not all, go way south and enjoy Provence and the Côte d'Azur. But it is true that, so that's why they go just for the day to really enjoy the wine, and that's what they do all day. They taste wine. But obviously, after seeing these pictures, you understand why you can spend several days easy in Burgundy. Yeah. So another village, Châteauillon, Château de Tanlay as well. Yeah. So then when you go south, you go towards, so is a lot of travelers, when they are in Burgundy, they go down to Lyon to enjoy some good food, to enjoy a fantastic city. Lyon is not very well known as a beautiful city, but it is absolutely a beautiful city. Yeah, most of the people, even French people, if you ask, oh, Lyon, oh, no, I don't want to go there, because they usually know Lyon from the freeway. And so, and unfortunately, in between the freeway and the city, there are all these petrol, oil companies, so that doesn't incite you, to go and enjoy the city. So on the way to Lyon, you can enjoy some wine of the Mâconnais and the Beaujolais being a little bit more well known, than familiar to the people than the Mâconnais. Has anyone drank some Beaujolais Nouveau on the 3rd Thursday of November?
Bien sûr.
Yes, good. Yeah, I did. I went to a bar. It was a bar outside, obviously, because the bars are long closed here in California. But now they are not even open on the terrace. Yeah. Tournus is also a charming by the water. You can notice, by the water. Another Mâcon. So this is Mâcon. quite colorful. Look at the bridge. You could be almost, like almost at the Pont de Pierre in Paris.
Mhm.
But the surrounding would be different. Huh? Yeah, this is a old pharmacy, apothecary, as we say in French. Huh? Voilà. Cluny Abbey. You see all this little chateau. This one is popular one, I would say, because it's not too far from, it's just an hour away from Beaune, so it's not too far. Chateau de Brancion as well. Look at the countryside. Paray-le-Monial, Autun, Sens, which is way up north, north of Auxerre, by the water as well, as you can see. Nevers also, that would be closer south of Beaune, in between Mâcon and Beaune. So I just put this slide because I wanted to talk about very quickly about the barging. There is a lot of barging. So if some of you are into barging, this is a real nice place to do that in Burgundy, along the Canal de Bourgogne and the Saône River. It's very, very peaceful. Usually you've got these bags on the barges, and you can enjoy the scenery during the day, and then go back to the barge at night for a wonderful meal. Burgundy cuisine. So I heard some people already mentioning the bœuf bourguignon. Obviously it's one of them. One of the local dishes. Coq au vin, escargot as well. This is the bœuf bourguignon. And the cheeses. So époisse is the most well-known. We can find époisse in the state pretty easily. If you don't like strong cheese, you don't even want to go and buy it, because even if you don't eat it, you will smell it for sure. Yeah. So unless you double box it in your fridge and with a plastic wrap around or whatever, it's a very strong cheese, but it's excellent. Yeah. So this is probably one. These are gougères. It's a dessert. They are puffed pastries. That shouldn't be here. I probably forgot to delete it. Another market. You can see artichokes are very popular in France, very popular. The saucisson, charcuterie is also big in Burgundy. We also do in Burgundy the fondue. I don't have a picture of this, but we have the cheeses. What is this one here? Which is not from this area, but it's very recognizable because of the blue stands here in the middle of the cheese.
Roquefort?
No,
Roquefort?
no. Excuse me?
Saint-Ager?
No, it's not. It's, you know what? I have a big blank now. I had the name in my head, Sandy, and now I have a big blank. And it's one of my favorite cheese. So let me think about it, and I will.
Think of it.
And I will let you. It's going to come back to me. That's so funny because when I started to ask you, I had the and I boom. Pure. I can read the. You see, pure brebis. So this is a sheep cheese. We can arrange also private or groups cooking class. So we can do this actually on along several days, or we can just do we can do a dinner cooking class or lunch cooking class. Very always entertaining. Everything is ready to make a good dish here. Well, that would be the the French style, table presentation. It's look at all the bottles in the back of the in the background. Yeah. And that's about it. Here we go.
Oh,
I wanted to thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any question, obviously Sandy is here to.
Right. Was anybody have any questions right now? I have a question. If someone wanted to go to Burgundy and spend, you know, the time in Burgundy, we're not talking about someone going to Paris and taking a day trip. Beaune seems to be a good place to be. You know, would you have people stay in 2 places or 3 places and do trips out of that? How would you?
Yeah, I would do. Well, I would do Beaune definitely, so you can go back, you know, to enjoy all the 2 main, you know, wine areas, Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune, and then I would move to maybe to Avalon, you know, to enjoy a different part of, and you can spend another 2-3 days there from Avalon. You can enjoy, for example, Chablis and places like this. Yeah. So I would go 2 places.
Could you also include a couple of days on a barge trip, or does a barge trip have to be a whole week?
A week.
Yeah, usually it's for a week. Yeah. Well, you can always. It depends on what time of the year. If you go like May, it's probably easier, you know, to privatize a barge. Okay, but if not, it usually is pretty complicated. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like the yacht, you know, on the Côte d'Azur in July and in August. It's very complicated to privatize a yacht less than 4 weeks. Yeah, yeah. The wine, the cheese was the Morbier.
Okay.
Voilà, the Morbier.
Okay.
So you can privatize, for a couple of days, but you need then to book probably a long time in advance. But even it's not a matter of when. It's more like, you know, all these barges, you know, they like to rent the barge for a full week. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Any questions for Florent? Other than how do we get reservations at that restaurant?
Oh, with our virtuoso side, that's easier.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, good.
And
All right, well-
I met Madame Oiseau. I met her 2 daughters also. Yeah, it's.
You have an in to get us in, huh?
Yes, you know, but it doesn't work. It doesn't always work, but usually, it does. We try always our best.
Okay. All right. Well, we can stop sharing. So you can stop sharing your screen now.
Okay. Stop share.
Okay, so, all right, we saw all these fabulous vineyards and chateaus. Warren, tell us what we're drinking and where they are from, and let's taste what we just saw.
Yes.
You're muted, Warren. Warren, you're still muted.
Sorry.
That's
There's
okay.
a little bit of commotion here. I'm sorry. So anyway, thank you, Sandy, again, and a lovely, you know, great tour. I mean, I love looking at all the stuff of Burgundy. I mean, all the way from, that part of France, from Champagne through Chablis and down into Burgundy, and then into the Rhone Valley. I mean, it's just, the wines are, firstly, it's beautiful and it's historic, but the wines are just extraordinary. Of course, I love Bordeaux, and sort of started with Bordeaux when I was much younger, and migrated to Burgundy. It's almost like in Italy. You know, everyone loves Tuscany and Sangiovese, but eventually, as your palate becomes a little more sophisticated, you move to the elegance and delicacy and finesse of Nebbiolo from Barolo. And similarly, many people, you know, fall in love with wines from Bordeaux. Quite often, the first wines, French wines they'll taste would be Bordeaux. But ultimately, the true enophiles and the true connoisseurs, as much as we love Bordeaux, and we absolutely do, there's something very, very special about Burgundy. And of course, the 2 greatest grapes of Burgundy, in fact, almost all wine from Burgundy, if you drink a Burgundian wine and it's white, it's almost certainly going to be Chardonnay. There are a couple of other, more minor grapes that, like Aligoté is a lovely Burgundy white that you can find. It's much more modestly priced, but generally white wine is going to be Chardonnay, and red wine is almost exclusively going to be Pinot Noir if it's from Burgundy. So it's a pretty good trick. If you see Burgundy on the label, you kind of know what wine is likely to be in the glass. And also, they make bubbly in Burgundy. They're not allowed to call it champagne because, of course, that's the exclusive thing. We've talked about it in the past. About in order to be called champagne, you have to come from Champagne. So you can't call your Napa, the Napa bubbly, you can't call it champagne. You all call anything with bubbles champagne, but technically speaking, must come from Champagne itself. So anyway, but they make Cremant de Bourgogne, which is a sparkling wine made with grapes from Burgundy that are also really, really lovely. So if you ever find yourself a Cremant de Bourgogne, it's not that far away from Champagne, and you can often save yourself a pretty penny by drinking the sparkling wines from Burgundy as opposed to Champagne, which has the cachet and obviously the price to warrant the brand. But what we have here tonight are two lovely wines. We have a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir, very typical of the region. These are modest wines. Some of the most coveted wines in the world, in fact, the most coveted wines in the world, come from Burgundy. You've probably all heard of Domaine de la Romanée-Conti. I was at an auction, a Christie's auction, about 7 or 8 years ago, where they auctioned a case of DRC, as they call it, Domaine de la Romanée-Conti Pinot Noir, for $252,000 for a case of 12, plus tax, plus 20% premium. In other words, $25,000 a bottle.
Wow.
And that wine is probably 30 or 40,000 currently. The Montrachet vineyard, you're looking at white wines that are going to cost you north of $1,000 a bottle. Now, if you went to Clos de Vougeot, which is the famous Clos, I came in late, maybe you saw some photographs earlier of Clos de Vougeot. It's one of the most famous places in Burgundy, in the Côte d'Nuit. Ginger's nodding. It goes back over 300 years, Clos de Vougeot. And Francois Labey's family has owned portions of Clos de Vougeot. It's fragmented now. Some people only own a single row in Clos de Vougeot. Wow. But the Labey family owns many. In fact, I think they own like 12 or 14% of the acreage in Clos de Vougeot. And right in the center, which is the most premium, and up to the top, the higher up in the elevation you go, the better. And they make a Clos de Vougeot, a Pinot Noir, and a Vieille Vigne, old vines, Pinot Noir, called from the house is called Chateau de la Tour, one of the most famous vineyards in Clos de Vougeot. But they also have other wines, and the other wines that they make in the same winery with the same winemaker with the same vinification techniques are these Francois Labey wines. And these are just village level. They're from the village of Vougeot, not inside Clos de Vougeot, but they're also $35 a bottle, not $350. And after the second or third glass, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a $350 glass of wine and a $35 glass of wine. And so it's the white and the red from the region. The white wine is just really, I don't know, those of you, you should all have had an opportunity to, to try it by now, I would hope. And it's 100% Chardonnay, as I mentioned, pretty low in alcohol, only about 13% alcohol. And, beautiful golden hued color, lovely nose, white fruits and things like that I get out of it. Actually spends 14 months in 50% new oak, which is really unusual for a wine that's a village level wine of this quality. So typical Chardonnay notes, but old world Chardonnay. So that's the Francois Labay Chardonnay. Any comments or questions that folks have on this, or how they feel compared with the oaky, buttery California style Chardonnays? Same grape, but a completely different world in terms of style. Great minerality, great essence of fruit and fragrance and acidity. A great food wine. Very, very balanced wine.
We're drinking the Pinot, Warren. How do I know, looking at the label, that this is a village wine?
Well, because it won't have a specific vineyard designate site, and I think Francois Labay, it won't say Premier or Grand Cru on the label, for example, which would designate a higher quality. So there's village level, and you'll see it says no name. It just says Labay, Bourgogne, and says Bourgogne Chardonnay. And that is the indication that it's just the most accessible wines in Bordeaux, the sort of that Bourgogne Blanc, white Burgundy. And then as you move up the tiers, you get a Lieu D, which is sort of a named place. So you can get like Chevalier or one of these other named places that aren't necessarily a classified vineyard. Then you move up to the classified vineyards, like Premier Cru vineyards, like Les Charmes in Meursault and Geneviève in Meursault and others. These are Premier Cru vineyards, and they're actually named. And then you move up to the highest level, which is Grand Cru, which are places like Chevalier Montrachet and Montrachet, etc. Bienvenue Batard Montrachet, things of that nature. Are the Grand Cru, and those are the highest levels. In fact, for me, the Bienvenue Batard Montrachet from Domaine Le Fleuve is just a sublime experience, maybe my favorite wine I've ever had. Unfortunately, it's now approaching $800 a bottle wholesale. So even though I get it at a cost, I can't really afford to drink it.
Wow.
But if someone wanted to buy some from me and share it with me, I'd happily express it.
You're such a good guy. I mean, Warren, you'll just put up with anything. It's
So
really
that's sort of
great.
the tiers. So you have, Village or Bourgogne Blanc, Van de Table, the ordinary Van Ordinaire, and then, the named places, the Lieu D, Premier Cru, and Grand Cru. And it's true of the red wine as well. So there's white and red. So Bourgogne Blanc for white, Bourgogne Rouge obviously for the red wines. In fact, if you love drinking Grand Cru quality wine at Premier Grand Cru prices, you should drink Baby Jesus, which is actually very good for this time of the year, is to drink Baby Jesus. So Baby Jesus is Beaune Rêve l'Enfant Jésus, which is from Beaune, and it's a famous vineyard with the Carmelite nuns and great story behind how Louis XIV's wife couldn't get pregnant, and the nun sent over this wine, and she got pregnant, and it's Baby Jesus, and they gave them the vineyard, and it's wonderful stuff. So,
I love those stories.
So we saw all those beautiful photos. So so that's the Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir. It's typical. I mean, if you see the Pinot Noir, just a gorgeous garnet color. You should be able to see your fingers through the wine. Have a look at that. If you're drinking Pinot Noir and you can't, and it's not translucent, you're drinking a manipulated wine that's probably got mega purple in it. So you'll often see California Pinot Noirs that are deep ruby in color and have an impenetrable hue that you can't see through, and that's because they take dehydrated grape must. So when they vinify the wine, they take off the cap, all the stems and seeds, and then they dehydrate that into like bouillon cubes, and they sell it to wineries who make thin, cheap wine, and then they throw that in it, and it comes out Pinot Noir looking like Cabernet Sauvignon. So if you're drinking Meiomi, you're drinking Gatorade in a wine bottle. And that's really, it's just a manipulated wine. But if you drink a true Burgundian or true Sonoma Pinot Noir that's authentic, it should be translucent. It should have great, red fruit notes as opposed to the Cabernet, black fruit notes. sort of ripe strawberries. Oh, wow. Look what I just got.
Whoa.
So we bought an entire Jambon Iberico from Costco, you know, the whole thing. So we've been
Whoa.
careful yesterday, and Connie just sliced some for me. So actually, some salty charcuterie and some sweet Pinot Noir.
Perfect.
Perfect. Oh my God, that's awesome. So Pinot Noir, obviously a very light, very delicate, very feminine wine, beautifully fragrant. You know, this wine has lovely soft tannins. The other advantage of drinking a wine like this, as opposed to the Vin from Clos de Vougeot, is it isn't as tannic. It isn't as inaccessible young as some of these other wines that are designed to age for decades. This is a wine that's meant to be drunk young, and I think it's a very pleasant quaffer, and really, really punches well above its weight from a value standpoint. And frankly, these Francois Lebay wines have really sort of been my go-to Tuesday night Burgundies, both the white and the red. You move up the chain, the Pierre Lebay, those wines are slightly more elevated. Then, of course, they get into the Clos de Vougeot, Chateau de la Tour level. So that's the Chardonnay and the Pinot from Burgundy. I hope you guys liked them.
That's
Do you
great.
know, Warren, do you remember what we paid for this Bourgogne?
I sell this wine for $35 a bottle, the white and the red.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's
So
really a good.
obviously, in terms of the package we've done this time, that German Riesling that we had last week was like ridiculous, but that's like a $60 bottle. I mean, that's a very, very, high quality, Grosse Gewach, single vineyard. It's a $60, $70 bottle of wine. The champagnes we had in the first session, those are $40, $50 for the Brut and $60, $70 from. That's why this trio, well, this six pack was slightly more elevated. But the greatest values within the six, obviously, is this wine, because these are $35 a bottle all in, and it's a tremendous value. I don't know of a better Burgundy value than wine.
I mean, that is amazing for a Burgundy, or even for like a New World Pinot. It's like everybody seems to think Pinots should cost ridiculous amounts of money.
I've had many Pinots and Chardonnays from Burgundy in this price range, but they tend to be very middling in terms of quality. What I like about this one is it's made in the same winery that they make their $350 Clos de Vougeot. And so you've got the same winemaking team. They're using 50% new and used oak, which they then circulate around the other wines. And it's just, you can see the quality in the glass is really there. So the way this wine came about is the importer, Terlato, huge importer of wines, one of the biggest. They went to the Lebay family and said, look, we want a wine that we can sell to our restaurant customers for the Buy the Glass program. So that's what they did and conceived of this wine. And if you went into, say, a pretty high-end French restaurant or something like that, you may get this wine by the glass, but it'll be $35 a glass. But that's But again, if you went in and you ordered Chateau de la Tour by the glass at French Laundry or something like that,
$100.
it'll cost you $250, $300 for one glass.
Don't spill it.
I just think Burgundy, like when you go down the route to Grand Cru, there's a ton of Premier Crus and Grand Crus. But when you go to Chablis, there's like, I think 7 Grand Crus. And we went there one day on this tour, and we went to a winemaker, and he had all 7 of his Grand Crus open and like 3 Premier Crus, because he tasted somebody the night before. And we got to taste them all and to taste whether the Premier Cru was really different than the Grand Cru, which my taste buds, they're good, but they're not that good. And I'm like, well, I'm perfectly happy with the Premier Cru. It was so amazing to see in that, and then when you were talking about people owning just a few rows, when you drive down the route to Grand Cru, and there's vineyards on the right, vineyards on the left, and you can tell who owns them by how they prune their vines. You know, the rows are different. It's
Well,
so,
they are. Well, Premier and Grand Cru fruit of vineyards in Burgundy are incredibly strictly controlled.
for years.
And you're only allowed 6 branches per vine and 2 clusters per branch. So a single vine in Burgundy, in Grand Cru particularly, but Premier and Grand Cru vineyards, will only lead you 12 bunches of grapes per vine.
Wow.
But this stuff, they can get 120 clusters per vine.
And it tastes just as good.
No, it doesn't. No.
Good try, Ginger. Good try. Good try.
It's pretty darn good for $35.
Yeah, I was just up in Sonoma. Relative value, yes, but absolute value, no. But I was just up in Sonoma on Saturday picking up some wine from my friend Paul Sloan at Small Vines. I'm going to be doing a promo on it. Most of you probably saw my recent promos, but Paul studied at DRC, and he makes what he likes to call a traditional style. I call it Burgundian style, and he's probably the best winemaker in California, certainly when it comes to Pinot and Chardonnay. And he's doing the same 12 clusters per branch. And I mentioned it to another friend of mine who's a winemaker here in California, owns a winery, and I said, you know, he's only getting 12 clusters of grapes per vine. He says, sounds like a great way to lose money. It's a true passion of excellence for Paul. Yeah.
So, Warren,
Michaela.
I have a
Warren?
question, Warren, though. Is it a scarcity management thing like Pliny the Elder? I'm really surprised to hear you say that.
Well, it's not necessarily scarcity. It is scarce, but not scarcity management, because of course Pliny the Elder, they could make as much beer as Budweiser if they wanted.
Well, now they can, but they didn't used to before they expanded.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a limit to how much you can get out of one row of vines, and there's only so much real estate. You know, beer's a whole different thing, right? You just need you just build another, tank next door, and you can, unlimited quantity. But this is scarcity because of the limit of the number of grapes that are just available and the number of rows that are available to it. And and in Burgundy, there's no more room. And
Does it make it better quality when all the energy goes into just those 12 clusters?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's fundamentally a quality decision.
No question, because you cut as you drop fruit, as you prune and drop, and you get fewer vines and fewer branches. The intensity of flavor, that goes into the remaining grapes, and the concentration of terroir and all of the climat and everything that gets into each of those grapes is tremendous. And the other thing is, because you're pruning and you're looking at it, by the time you get down to those 12 clusters, you've got the 12 best clusters that vine has produced in that particular year. So they drop a lot of, in Bordeaux and in other places, and certainly in California, what they'll do is they'll prune the vines, but they'll prune all the fruit and it'll go on the conveyor belt, and then they'll sort based on quality. So then they'll take the lesser quality grapes and put them into their second label. Paul Sloan doesn't do that. Burgundy, they don't do that. If it's a Grand Cru vineyard, every cluster goes only into Grand Cru wine.
So Warren, what do you think about Willamette Valley, Pinot Noir, which is very well known for Pinot Noir?
Well, interestingly, Oregon and the Willamette Valley is on the same latitude as Burgundy.
Interesting.
And also now, with a little bit of global warming affecting it, they're starting to get a little bit warmer in Oregon too, as they are in Burgundy. So every year you're getting, better and better quality fruit. And I'm not anywhere near as familiar with the Willamette Valley as I am with Sonoma.
It's pronounced Willamette.
Willamette.
Whatever it's pronounced.
I'm not going to teach
Willamette. So
Willamette.
Willamette, damn it.
That valley is one with which I am not as familiar. But I've had some terrific wine from there. Rajit Parr, who's a renowned somm, worked with Michael Mina for many years, has a couple of vineyards up there, and I love his wines. The wines I've had from there, I think, have been really terrific. I just don't have as much knowledge. I do know that now that region is becoming more and more renowned. Wines are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to try Pinots from the Willamette Valley, the Taste of Bordeaux cruise next November 2021 is a wine themed cruise, and a winemaker from the Willamette Valley is going to be kind of the winemaker on the cruise and going to be bringing a bunch of his Pinots. So been a great opportunity to do that, to compare.
Go all the way to Bordeaux.
I had very good experience in the Willamette, Valley. Yeah, I used to live in Seattle. I spent 24 years of my life in Seattle. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Thank you, Warren. Thank you.
I'm kidding. I love.
No. It's a great place to play. It was a great place to live, but the weather is definitely an issue. But yeah, I had good experiences there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, the Oregon wines are world class. And speaking of Seattle, the wines from Washington State, especially the Red Mountain Cabs,
yes,
outstanding, absolutely outstanding wines. And this is where global warming has helped us. So these very, very northern latitudes, they're now able to produce wines that grapes just wouldn't grow and ripen 30, 40 years ago. But today, there's some terrific wines coming.
A good place to go in Washington is Walla Walla. Yeah, northern Washington State, and you have great wines there. Not everywhere, and not all in all wineries, but you can find excellent wine there.
Superb wine.
Yeah.
So Warren, I have a question. This is probably maybe awful, but if you were going to have a wine to put mulled wine spices in, and I remember last weekend you said don't use the cheap wine. What wine would you think would be good as mulled wine?
Well, I think when I think about mulled wine, I like to have, and it's warm and things like that, I like to have a bit of sweetness in it. So Pinot would be good for that, but also a heavier bodied wine. So a Merlot might be good, or a Malbec, I think would be. I wouldn't be putting in something that had great earthiness like a Bordeaux or something from Oakville, Rutherford, but a nice fruit forward,
more fruity.
Something Zinfandel, high fruit Zin. And the beauty of Zin is it's high in alcohol, so you can get drunk faster. So
and you got your mug to carry around the Christmas markets.
I would say Zinfandel or Primitivo from Italy. The sort of the sweeter type of varietals, I think would be good with that.
If you didn't notice, I put an Italian recipe for mulled wine in the chat, and I will send it out with a follow-up email. But if you're interested in that, you can download it from the chat. It's an Italian version of it. I want to be a little bit respectful of the time because I know a lot of people want to go see the Christmas star. So Flora, thank you so much for a fabulous tour through Burgundy. Warren, what can we say? I mean, you just make drinking wine not only delicious, but fun. And I always learn something. And it's just so amazing. So this is our final night for 2020. But Warren and I have been having such a good time. We'll be back in February. So hopefully you'll join us. I am actually going to Costa Rica. It's not a great wine capital, but it will be a fun trip. My host agency, Gift to Travel Network, was gifting the 10 top producers a trip to France. We were supposed to go on a river cruise. I was supposed to fly out on March 19th. So you know what happened. And since Europe is so up in the air and they wanted to make sure that we got our trip, and since Costa Rica is open and we're the 10 top producers, Costa Rica was more than thrilled to host us for this trip. So I'll be gone for about a week in January. but I'll be back, and then we'll look at February. It's Valentine's Day. I mean, we'll have lots of wonderful things to kind of talk about, and destinations and all that other good stuff. So please stay healthy. Please follow all the protocols. We want you to be, you know, in good shape until we can all get the vaccine, and then we can have travel fun in 2021. So I just want to put in a little commercial break. If any of you are still thinking about booking any Water River cruise, the sales are just amazing. Several people have booked Christmas markets for 2021 and 2022. I mean, more than $1,000 off per cabin, which is pretty amazing. And there's still the big sale on the Bordeaux trip in November 2021, but you have to put your deposit down by December 31st. So if you have any idea or want to give this as a Christmas gift, or need a Christmas do-over this year because it's not going to be the Christmas you love, you know, let's plan something that you can look forward to and be happy about. So thank you all. I wish you all just the most fabulous, wonderful new year. It's going to be a better year. The bar was so low this year. It's got to be
It has
fabulous.
to be. It has to be.
So two things. The star may have already set, but you can still see it tomorrow. It may not be as bright as tonight. And if you want the Chabot Space Center, which Cindy and Tom know because we went up there before everything blew up, but they have a 36-inch telescope, and they had that on video. So if you go to
their website.
You go to their website, or you go to Facebook or YouTube, and you do the Chabot Space and Science Center, you should find they had a show from 5 to 6. So they were watching the star tonight. And do go ahead and go out tomorrow and look at it.
It is still on right now. We've got it on the screen here.
Oh, awesome.
ChabotScience.org.
Okay, great.
And if you're at all Star Geeks,
Oh, ChabotSpace.org. Sorry.
ChabotSpace.org. Okay.
Yeah, like every Saturday, there's 3 of them that they do the telescope, and they're funnier. They're like Click and Clack from the NPR car show. They're just that funny, these guys.
Oh, I love that.
Well, anyway, happy holidays, everybody. If you want wine for Christmas or New Year's, if you're in California, there's still a little bit of time. Ginger, your wine should arrive on Thursday.
I said that cab package looked amazing.
No, that's a tremendous package. It includes a half bottle of wine enthusiast #1 wine of the year, the Lale.
Yeah, 5.5 bottles of cab for that price, and then none of them were anything I knew. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, well,
Lauren just has the most amazing wines. I mean, you can't beat that. All right, everybody. It was great to see you. Have a lovely Christmas. Have a happy New Year. And we'll see you in February. And in the meantime, if you have any questions about any of the series, I will put this on the YouTube channel. Probably give me about a day or so to get it done. And just stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you in February.
Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you very much.
Eileen, what was Eileen, what are you